What's up, guys? This is Brandon. Welcome to FPL Source Game Week 2 review. I'm joined today by Jade and Kyle. And yeah, we're going to go through the news, views, and Ews of Game Week 2. We're going to have a look at the Saucer-meter for this week. And we're going to look at the captaincy options for next week and the weeks to come. Join us or stay tuned till the end so you can see our points as well as our transfer plans for next week. So let's jump into it.
All right, perfect. So first segment, news, views, and Ews. Let's have a look at the news for this week. We've got some price changes again. Ings went up, Pogba, Antonio, Benrahma, Regulon's also gone up. Tsimikas has gone up 0.2, so he's on the 4.2s now. I know DCL's also gone up, so has Son, Reece James, that is, and Amate. Obviously, everyone's changing that Tsimikas to Amate vibes. And then in terms of fallers, Kane's down to 12.3. That's 0.2 he's down. Van is down. Pepe's down. Target's down. And so is Danny Rose. In terms of transfers, Shaqiri's been transferred to Lyon from Liverpool already. Odegaard is officially an Arsenal player. He played last night, actually, in the Cups, one of the Cup games. Loans, Brandon Williams is out to Norwich. There is another transfer on the way at the moment. It's Kurt Zuma from Chelsea to West Ham, so we'll see how that one goes. In terms of injuries, De Bruyne is on a 75% chance of playing, so we'll see. Pulisic is supposed to be back this week, so we'll see how that goes. And Moipe is on a 25%, so we'll see how that takes Brighton. They've been performing kind of well, but without him, we'll see how they handle. In terms of extras, Liverpool apparently won't release Salah for the World Cup qualifier. I actually read another thing saying that all of the Premier League internationals won't be released for World Cup qualifiers. So we'll see how that goes. In terms of FPL managers, that's great. In terms of being a human, well, we'll figure that one out later. Pogba becomes the first player in the Premier League history to register 5 assists in his team's first 2 games of the season, which is pretty good. Lukaku scores on his second Chelsea debut as well. So that's pretty impressive. That's 2 Chelsea debuts he's scored in. And I know he also scored in the United one. So he's had quite a good run in terms of debut and scoring. Let's have a look at the views. We've still got the reasonable relishes going. I think this is a hot topic. I mean, this is where the focus is right now. You get this right, you can fix the rest of your team. So the battle for the 7.5s to the 8.0s forwards. Antonio is definitely the pack there. Ings is also up there now. I don't think we can consider Watkins, considering he hasn't started a couple games. Wilson, unfortunately on my side, I think he's also losing the race there a little bit, but we'll see how that goes. Richarlison as well. Jimmy and Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin is still in contention for sure. Bamford as well. He got a cheeky assist, but we'll see if he starts registering those goals. In terms of those reasonable relishes, Ings had a cracker of a goal last week. He's actually the cover photo for this segment in the views. And Antonio made history being top goal scorer for West Ham in the Premier League. So that's hectic for him as well. In terms of fixtures to look forward to coming up, we've got City versus Arsenal. Arsenal haven't scored a goal in the last 2 games, so that should be a good one for City. West Ham are playing Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace don't have the best defense. So in terms of Antonio Benrahma stats, that should only be helping them. In terms of differentials, we've still got Alonso and now a new one, Duffy. Duffy scored a goal last week. I think he was one of in the team of the week type of thing. In terms of teams doing well, Brighton shine good with their form at the moment, and Hammers keep on hammering. Yeah, West Ham are on fire right now. I think Moyes is doing an excellent job out there. In terms of Ews, we've got Arsenal still with 0. That's it's goalless after 2 games. I feel terrible for every single Arsenal fan out there. That must suck. And Norwich obviously in their 5-0 defeat by City, and Krul also being on that score sheet as an own goal is quite
Talk about cruel.
Yeah, talk about being cruel to people out there. You guys got anything you wanna go back to and talk about?
Yeah, I just want to say that the saga with the players that need to be released for the World Cup qualifying games is not over, because FIFA has released a statement saying that they're going to ban the players that are not released from playing for their club teams, if they do not go and play in their qualifiers for their country.
I mean, this is a big saga. I mean, obviously, these players bring viewership to those games. So taking them out of the game, what are you actually doing? So it's quite a huge debate here. Obviously, Premier League doesn't want to lose the players and lose them for those 2-week quarantine days. That's 2 fixtures, potentially even more, depending. Yeah, no, I don't know. This saga is definitely one to.
Yeah, plus it's like kind of against human moral to send people from a safe country to a red listed country. Like Is
That's
it
one way to look at
against?
it.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to just wait and see what happens here.
Mm.
We thought we were going to get news by yesterday, and the saga continues. So I've, spoiler alert, hold out on my transfers until we get some more info, which we might not even get by the deadline. So just have to keep a keen eye on that one.
Yeah, no,
But
it's
at the same
very,
time, I would much rather play for my home country than
yeah,
any club,
that's
no
actually where I
matter
was
how
going to go
much,
next.
no matter how much the cost.
You
It's
dream of
for
playing,
patriotism.
exactly. You dream of playing for your country before you dream of playing for a club. Anyway, so,
Unless you're South African.
Very true.
well, yeah. That's our bogus.
I would
Yeah.
still play for Bafana Bafana if I was skilled enough.
I think
I
we're all
wanted to
skilled enough.
mention, Jade, with the Harry Kane dropping in price. I actually think it's still a pretty good idea to get him into your team
Yeah, he's
because he's
also going to
made
go up.
the U-turn on the Spurs. I think that he could definitely become one of the top goal scorers, if not the top goal scorer in the league this season.
He's always
So
got the
yes,
potential.
he had a poor start, but I think he's a good shout.
No, he's always got the potential. I mean, definitely. And when he started at 12.5, it means he's only going to rise back to 12.5 soon. So, yeah, this is the time to get him now, and you'll make some bank.
And
Excellent.
then, yeah, the one last thing I wanted to just add was in the EFL Cup that they played midweek this week, both the Ews on your list, Arsenal and Norwich, banged. They
I know, I
got
saw.
four or five goals. Arsenal versus West Brom, and Norwich
6.
played 6 goals. Yeah, and Norwich
Yeah.
also got I think 5 goals. So they were basically just waiting to play anybody except Liverpool and City. And they, you know. So yeah, let's have a keen eye on what happens with them going forward. I wonder if that can be the little spark to ignite their season.
Exactly. And Odegaard also played in that game for them. So maybe he's the difference maker. Who knows? But, yeah, they did play championship teams. So,
True. Okay, I'm going to move on then to the saucer meter if you guys are okay.
perfect.
All right, so this is this week's saucer meter. It has been updated a little bit. We've got 2 more Lord sources, one of which I didn't even update you guys on. But I've added Dominic Calvert-Lewin to the Lord source status because he's just the focal point of Everton's attack right now. He's got the most, or I think the second most after Antonio, XGI, which is expected goal involvement, out of all the strikers in the league. And there's just so many crosses coming in his way, and you know how good he is in the air and at being the target man. So I think with all these managers planning to get him in the next 2 weeks, especially with people like Ings and Tony, I think he's going to be one of the most highly owned players very soon. He's got a great run of fixtures, so I think he has earned his status as a Lord. Then the other player that I've put straight onto the Lord source after his first game is Lukaku. He played an Arsenal side and he had, I think, 8 shots in the box, 9 shots in total, which is the third highest in his career ever. So that is a really good start. He's come out the blocks firing. That Chelsea squad is literally built around him now. It has the perfect setup to just feed him with creativity, feed him with balls. He's looking good, he's looking sharp, he's got his first touch going a bit better than what we saw in the Premier League 2 seasons ago. So I think a lot of people he's going to shake up the template right now because basically everyone has very similar teams. Everybody's happy. I think it really determines, or when you get Lukaku in, is going to determine your whole sort of team lineup now and how you're going to get him in.
And he's got a really great coach behind him.
Exactly.
Thomas Tuchel is just he's very similar to Pep in the way that they structure their teams, where they play from the back. So I think Lukaku's just like what you said. He's going to get so much creativity shoved in his face.
Yeah.
All he has to do is touch the ball into the goal. It's great.
Exactly. I think it is exciting to see. I think his touch has definitely improved since he's been in Italy. So, yeah, we'll see how that one goes.
Cool. Then onto the spicy spice. We have some new faces and some old faces. So Son, Pogba, Greenwood, they've stayed spicy spice. They've shown me that they, last week Pogba still got another assist, Greenwood still got another goal. But I'm not too convinced with Man United just yet. So nobody is joining Bruno in the Lord source right now as of yet. But that could change very soon. Son, I'm keeping him where he is. He always looks good. He's an amazing player, but I just want to see how Kane affects him and where he goes. Is he going to be up top with Kane? Is he going to be out on the left like he was last season? So he's staying in spicy spice. Ings is there from a second consecutive return and that amazing bicycle. I mean, Rooney-esque. You can't ignore that. Jota.
The timing of that kick is perfect.
Yeah, perfect connection. Jota scored again, so he's in the list. And Duffy, who's a 4.0 or was a 4.0 defender, starting, he had the most shots in the box out of any defender, and he even ranks up there with some of the like premium strikers. So he's a big target man on those crosses and set pieces. He is one to watch definitely until Lamptey and Veltman come back. And then on to mild. There are a few random names here, but I think these are the sneaky people that are going to surprise some people in the next few weeks. So we've got Reece James, who, when he plays, is going to be amazing, but we just can't know when that's going to be. I think it's probably, he's going to get rotated at least one every 4
There's a lot of rotation in Chelsea.
Yeah, with those the fullbacks. Jesus played amazingly for Pep in the last game. So he earned a spot on there, but once again, we just don't know how often he's going to play. Then we've got Lloris, who's our only keeper on this list. He's got 2 consecutive clean sheets plus a couple saves. So I think he might be the highest scoring keeper at the end of this season by the looks of things. So if you're looking for a new keeper, you don't mind spending that extra million, I think Lloris is the way to go for now. Then we've got the 2 West Ham players, Bowen and Fornals, that have sort of been under the radar because of Benrahma's taking the spotlight and Antonio. But they're looking just as good. They've got just as many chances as Benrahma, but obviously hasn't converted that into returns yet. But I think in the coming weeks, they might be the ones to get all the points, whereas Benrahma could miss his chances. So very sneaky, low ownership. If you're thinking Benrahma might be saved for Europe or he might get rotated, these are some other players you can consider. Then we also have another City player, Mahrez, who I'm sure millions of managers were annoyed that he got benched for Norwich. And yet again, he came on and he scored. So it just shows you can return even if he is benched in those, like, what did he have, 15 minutes or something when he came on? And it worked. So one to keep an eye on if he gets regular starting. If he gets that spot, then he definitely will be a big point scorer this season. And then we've got some lower priced midfielders, Mbuemo, Doucouré, and Sarr. Sarr I spoke last week very highly of. He wasn't as shiny this week, but he still stays on the mild rating for now. Doucouré is just looking like a beast in the midfield of Everton right now. He's bombing forward, he's getting chances, he's creating, he's huge. He can take a strike from outside the box like he did, or very recently. We've seen him do it last season as well. And then Mbuemo is basically the creator in that team of Brentford. Tony is more the hold-up man. He's waiting for people to come past him. He's giving it to the likes of Mbuemo and Kanyos and whatnot. So I think for 5.5, Mbuemo is a very mild source.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that stuff. I think Jesus definitely deserves the spot he's got considering last week. But at the same time, we just got to see consistency from him, which we haven't seen yet in the Premier League. Yeah, I think that's my point on that one.
Cool,
yeah,
Kyle.
Same.
You happy?
Same.
Okay.
I think DCL is the main man for Everton. And the last thing I want to say about Mbuemo is his ability to charge forward. I didn't even think about him before the season started, but it's crazy what I'm seeing now. I'm actually really enjoying the way that Brentford are trying to actually attack teams. They're not just sitting 10 men behind the ball waiting to be attacked. They're attacking.
They're definitely the more
nice
attacking. Yeah, they're the more attacking promoted teams. So
yeah,
but it's good to
Leeds
see
of
them
last
to do it to the big boys too.
Yeah. I love the way that we see, like Leeds did last season, they come with no fear. It creates a much more entertaining spectacle.
That's
and
very true.
It usually works out in their favor as well. Okay, we're going to move on to Kyle's section, the captaincy table.
Yes, captaincy options, drenched double drippers. That's my title for this week. I'm going to take you through game week 3 with a few talking points, guys. City versus Arsenal. This is one of the first fixtures of the game week. Obviously, with Pep Roulette, we don't know who's going to start. Even Grealish or Kevin De Bruyne could get benched, which is some of the top players in the world. So we simply don't know. So that's why I put three of them. I put Grealish, Mahrez, or Kevin De Bruyne. I think Arsenal is really struggling. They're not having a great season. They haven't had a great preseason. So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to perform in this year's Premier League. That's why City are definitely captaincy options. Brighton versus Everton, obviously DCL, as we have mentioned before. He's the spear point for that team. All the goals pretty much are going to go through him. So it's a no-brainer on that part. And then the man in question, Antonio. Antonio versus Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace have looked decently good under Patrick Vieira, the former Arsenal player. But I'm not sure about how they're going to do against West Ham. I think Antonio could really come in and score a couple goals, if not a hat-trick once again, which would be really, really cool. And then the last game for Game Week 3 that I doffed my cap for is Spurs versus Watford. So Harry Kane's back. He's an extremely influential player. And if you don't own Harry Kane, Son is another one that you could potentially armband for that particular game week. Nuno Espirito Santo, excellent coach, as we have already mentioned. I think he's got a great style of football. So Watford could get owned. We don't know. And then just some quick fixtures for Game Week 4, guys. If you're trying to think ahead, trying to mull over, trying to gain a plan. Game Week 4, United versus Newcastle. Newcastle have looked unspectacular. So I've put Bruno Fernandes there. I haven't put Mason Greenwood or Paul Pogba because I think Bruno is probably the main man of the team for now. Simply because of his ownership, his returns, his capabilities. He's on the penalties as well. Then I also put Chelsea versus Arsenal, Lukaku. He's looked great for Chelsea thus far. Obviously, only one game, so it's a small data pool to pull from. But yeah, he's probably going to be the main man of Chelsea this season. Leeds versus Liverpool. I mentioned last week that was an absolute goal fest of a game. So Mo Salah is definitely probably going to be the one that returns for that game week.
Definitely probably.
And then Game Week 5, guys. Liverpool versus Crystal Palace. Like I said, Liverpool are in pretty much top form. Maybe a slightly under top form. So Mo Salah for that game week. It's a pretty tough game week, I must say. Game Week 5 looks pretty tough. There's some really tough fixtures there. There's like West Ham versus United. Chelsea have an interesting fixture. So pretty tough captaincy options for that game week, I must say. But
just say,
the other
in
one
terms
is
of what you've already got there with Liverpool, Crystal Palace, just knowing how weak Crystal Palace are in their defense and Salah's high captaincy ownership potential. I mean, that's already mostly going to be 90% of the captaincy choices already.
Probably you're right. And then the last game I put there was City versus Southampton. I put Kevin De Bruyne because, in my opinion, he's going to be back in the team. He's going to be back in form, and he's going to run down the middle, be the creative output for the team, and Southampton are going to get crushed. So that's also a potential captaincy option. Now, this is my favorite part of the captaincy options, guys, is the differential captaincy options, because this is where you can actually really make a lot of points back. So Game Week 3, this game week, I put Ings versus Brentford, simply because of his bicycle kick, but also he's the spear point of Aston Villa at the moment. So Ings versus Brentford, that's a definite shout. Vardy versus Norwich, I put that there last week as well, simply because there are so many captaincy options this week. I don't see many people captaining Vardy versus Norwich. So if you want to put him, if you want to put the armband on Vardy, that would be a pretty good choice to make.
Yeah, Vardy Game Week 4 is always a go big or go home vibe. You either get no returns or you get a hat. Vardy is just that Vardy party.
Touch and go. Touch and go. And then Game Week 4, guys. I know Arsenal haven't been doing well, and it seems like I'm picking a bit here on Norwich because that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm picking on Norwich.
Although I think you're also picking Arsenal a little bit there because they are in your City versus Arsenal for this game week.
True.
So
True.
Yeah, what happens when an immovable force hits a movable
Meets an
object?
unstoppable object. Yeah, exactly. So a differential captaincy option for Game Week 4 could be Aubameyang. Maybe Arsenal pull their socks up. Maybe
I mean, Saka could be a
Arteta.
sneaky one in there too. To just saying, Aubameyang did get a hat trick this midweek in their cup game, so something to think about too.
Very true, very true. And then Game Week 5, guys, like I mentioned, it's a pretty tough game week with lots of tough games. But I put Saar versus Norwich.
Not
Once
a bad
again, I'm
shout.
picking on Norwich because that's exactly what I'm doing. Saar versus Norwich. He's creative. He's shown that he can shine on the ball. So let's see. That's a pretty good captaincy option.
I will ask before you move on to the next part is where is United options this week?
So this week I didn't
Playing Wolves.
United.
Oh, Wolves.
They play Wolves away. That's why I didn't put any United captaincy options, because Arsenal are in poor form. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has a shout to score. Antonio's in massive form. Kane and Son are playing against Watford, so Kane's back, and United play away against Wolves.
And
so
in
I
their
wasn't
last,
quite sure on whether. Say again.
And in their last 5 games that they've played versus Wolves, it has been like a 1-1 draw, a 2-1 win, a 0-0 draw, a 1-1 draw, and another 1-0 win or loss. So they are one of our biggest bogey teams. When I say I mean United. Yeah.
United fans. And also Bruno Fernandes is owned by so many, and so many people are going to captain him anyway.
Yeah.
I thought it
100%.
might have been pretty obvious if I put him there.
To be honest, in terms of a United option, it'd probably be Greenwood.
Yeah.
My sneaky opinion there.
I think
I own him.
I think Martial has to be dropped, and Greenwood has to go back
Yeah.
up front, and Pogba has to go back on the left, Sancho on the right, Bruno behind them, and make a more fluid play, because we looked
Just until
useless
Rashford
for
comes back.
Southampton. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
don't know.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Martial's one of those tricky ones. He's got flavour every now and then, but unfortunately, I don't think he's got the consistency anymore.
No.
Very true. Very true. All right, guys, moving to this week's player focus. Mikel Antonio. Obviously, I just had to. I had to put him as this week's player focus because of his performance against West Ham. Against
to be honest.
Against Spurs. Against Leicester, rather. Gary
Third time's
Neville. Third time's the charm, guys. Gary Neville called his performance electric.
Wow.
And when Gary Neville,
From Mr. Neville.
yeah, when he buffs any other team up other than United, it's a big thing. It's a really big thing. So well done to Mikel
Antonio.
Antonio.
Also made history for West Ham as well. They're leading top goal scorer in
ever.
the whole Premier League. So yeah, big plays.
Right. So what
Plus,
I did
did you see
is I
that
went through
celebration
Mikel-
though?
Oh,
Did you
sorry.
see that celebration?
Saved the last dance. Apparently, it came out with a bit of a flop according to the pundits because none of them knew what the hell he was talking about. But
He even took
I
the
think it's pretty
cardboard cutout
romantic.
home.
Yeah, he must have been watching movies with his girlfriend or something recently and goes like, "Oh, that's what I'm gonna do. Everyone knows about this."
Brilliant. So what I did, guys, is I just went, just like last week, I went through Mikel Antonio's previous games against his next three fixtures. So Mikel Antonio has played Crystal Palace 9 times. He's played them 9 times. He's got four wins, 2 draws, 3 losses. He's only scored 1 goal against Crystal Palace, guys. That was interesting for me.
Interesting.
But he's got 7 assists.
Wow.
So maybe he drops back a bit, drops into a pocket, gets a few assists in the game. Also, not bad returns on that one. Southampton, he's got 8 wins against Southampton, 1 draw, and 4 losses in his career. But he hasn't scored that many goals or assists. He's only scored 2 goals and 2 assists. So he's been in quite sporadic form these last few seasons, I must admit. Now that he is in form, he's looking great, he's looking strong, he's looking like a great captaincy option. But history dictates somewhat otherwise.
I think he's a new player now.
And then
you have to like consider that he used to be out on the left a couple years ago. He
His
moved.
body transformation.
Yeah, his body transformation. His hamstrings are not cheesy anymore. He looks like a a proper athlete right now. He's in
Proper
front.
centre forward.
Yeah, he's in front now. I think he's basically in the form of his life. If those stats were taken from the last 2 seasons, maybe only, I think we would see a little more of a ratio of goals and returns and assists or whatever
Very
per
true,
game.
very true.
Just look at last season. Last season, he already hit the headlines. Last season, he had a huge improvement compared to previous seasons. And this season, he's just started out even better.
Especially playing alongside Jesse Lingard. Wow, that was a partnership and a half.
Fair enough, but I mean, still, just with that West Ham team and how Moyes plays it, he's pretty much got the same replacement in Fornals and Ben Rama at the moment. I mean, they're pretty much doing the same thing for him.
True, true. So yeah, guys, this is more of a guideline just to get you get a picture of what Mikel Antonio is as a player, or was as a player, should I say, because now he's a transformed person. Against United, I was quite impressed. 2 wins, 4 draws, 5 losses, 2 goals, and 1 assist. So I think he could actually return against United if he were to play them. And then, yeah, that's me for this game week, guys. Mikel Antonio, if he's not in your team, you should probably make plans to get him in your team because he scores goals.
Definitely. All right, now we are going to get to the juicy part. We're going to get to our teams. We're going to start with my team. Look away, guys. I know this is your least favorite part. But so this week I scored a massive 97. I took a cheeky punt with Trent Alexander-Arnold captaincy. Last second I changed it from... I was actually going to go Greenwood, as I mentioned last week. But then I chickened out and I changed it to Salah. And then I just had a brain fart and I decided to go a bit different. And I went with Trent and it worked out. Both Salah and Fernandes blanked, which was the best thing I've ever heard because they were both over 100% ownership. So meaning if they score and you haven't captained them, even if you own them, you will drop in rank. So I did not want any of them to return. Fernandes getting that 1 point was just the cherry on top. Then, yeah, once again, Antonio Benrahma coming through super strong. Ings with that penalty, the bicycle kick came through. Tsimikas with his last game in my team, probably. He came through with an 11-pointer. And both my other 2 defenders also got clean sheet. Soufal didn't get a clean sheet, but he got 5 points with an assist. And Martinez got a clean sheet. So yeah, all in all, super happy. Got 97 points, moved up to 651st in the world without using any chips. So yeah, I'm super happy with that.
That's pretty good going.
Then to go on to my plans for next week, I need your guys' help. Because yeah, I have not used my transfers. As I said, I'm waiting to hear if we get any more news from this whole FIFA fiasco with the players and releasing them to their countries. But my main objective is basically I want Son. I want to basically find a way to get Son without losing Salah. And if we get news that Salah is not going to be able to play in the next couple game weeks, might take a chance and just transfer him out to Son for the short term before getting him back when he's available again. But since we don't have that news, I need to make another plan. So Barnes is definitely on the chopping block. He's the only player I've got that's dropped in price and hasn't returned for me once. So even though he's going to Norwich this week, I don't know if I'm going to keep him. I think I'm okay with selling him. But obviously I'm going to need cash somewhere else to fund the move to Son. So my thinking is Trent Alexander-Arnold might give way. My hero from last week might get chopped immediately to fund a move to Son.
I was thinking the same thing.
Because he is playing Chelsea this week, so I don't see a clean sheet unless it's like a 0-0 boring game, which might happen. But I don't see many returns from him this week. So I think, unless you guys can give me another out, that might be what I can do. I can downgrade him to someone like Duffy or Regulon, or a Spurs defender or a Wolves defender. They've got good fixtures coming up. Someone below 5 million, basically. So what do you guys think? Should I do that? Is that an option, or can you figure out any other way of getting around it? Keeping in mind,
would there not be a way to roll a transfer this week and wait for the news, and then you would have 2 transfers for next week?
Well, I've still got 2 transfers,
Utilize.
so I do want to use one of them at least this week because, it's just going to be a waste. Keeping in mind that one transfer next week will be Ings to DCL. So, yeah, I need to just plan around that. I'm okay with selling Barnes this week because I don't even know if he's going to start. But I'm not sure. I just hope that we get news that Salah's not going to play and then I can, just make that switch without losing Trent. But it's a toughie.
That is a toughie.
Yeah, squads are going to be breaking as soon as these players go on international leave.
Sorry, say again?
Said squads will be breaking as soon as these players go on to international leaves. All the FPL managers are going to be doing major changes. I mean, you're going to probably be going from your primo midfielders to primo strikers, Lukaku. You're going to be transferring that 12 there to a primo striker now all of a sudden.
Yeah, plus with Kane and possibly even Ron coming into the league. Sure. I don't know how we're going to survive with this budget.
Yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo might come into the league, which is very fascinating news. Speculative, of course.
Crazy.
But so, unless you guys have any bright ideas.
No, not at the current moment. I do not.
Not at this moment in time.
Would you rather sell...
Trent is going to be your budget maker. He's the only one you're going to get your budget from.
So not Salah. Would you rather sell Trent over Salah at the moment?
Yeah, yes. Until you get confirmation, to be honest. Because I think as soon as you go Salah, you know how he is. If he stays, you're going to be losing points with those captaincies.
Yeah, the other option, I could just do something very simple, like sell Tsimikas to Duffy or Livramento. But that means that I have to play Barnes, which I'm not super excited for. Because he might not even play. But it is
Norwich.
But he might not even start.
Exactly. I know. I get that. I mean, there is a whole bunch of risk factor involved. But if you're going to give a player one more chance, you would think it'd be Norwich, considering how much Kyle's hammered on Norwich and who you can captain against Norwich.
Yeah. If he was assured to start, I would probably do that. I actually might still do that. I just wanted your guys' opinions. I don't know if this is the time for me to be maverick and keep trying to be ahead of the curve, or now that I've got inside the top 1,000, should I just play safe? Don't sell Salah, don't sell Trent. Just keep my head, in the...
Think about it like this. You are going to drop rank, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So keep playing your game. Don't try and force yourself to play a different game than what you're used to playing.
Yeah.
Because you're obviously successful in the way you've been playing in the past. So keep doing that.
That's a good piece of motivation. Thank you.
Well, I think I wouldn't do anything crazy right now. Considering where you are in the world, don't do anything crazy. Rather wait for facts before you make major change. I think the places you're going to be able to make up some ground in terms of getting closer to first would probably be in your wild carding and when you do that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's enough about my team. Jade, we are moving on to your team.
All right. Perfect. Let's have a look here. So I didn't have the greatest returns this week. I'd blame Salah on that one and possibly also although I'm pretty happy I didn't captain Fernandes, which is even better. But yeah, Tsimikas with returns, Digne with the fat 0, I'm loving it. And Shaw with the 4. Sanchez though, Brighton got me a clean sheet, pretty happy about that. Greenwood on a 10, Grealish also with a return. Saar got a bit bullied in his previous game, but I think that's because they know the target man is Saar, so I'm worried about how other teams play him too. Wilson also only got me a 1 bloody yellow card. And Ings with that amazing bicycle kick. But in terms of my bench, I'm happy with the team I actually started. Yeah. And then moving on to my pick team, where the team I'm going into this week, I've already made my transfers. I kind of made them on Sunday already because I had an inkling to know who was going to get, whose prices were going to drop. And so I definitely got out Target and I got out Danny Rose. Both of their prices have dropped. I can't say this guy's name. Regulon. Yeah, that's it. Regulon has increased prices after I bought him. So I already got his price increase. And then I brought in Duffy, considering he's a perfect 4.0 replacement.
Defender transfers, eh?
Yeah, I'm thing is, I'm happy with my midfield right now. I think 2 game weeks in, it's a bit early to call it, and I'm also waiting for the perfect differential or the perfect player to go. Obviously, Antonio and Benrahma's on those lists and who I swap out, but I definitely feel like Wilson and his fixtures has the potential to reach the same as Antonio for the moment. Saar, I'm a bit iffy with, but yeah, there is a bit of playing to go on. So I went with the basics, which is my first problem was my defense. So I'm fixing that and giving my attackers a bit more time to give me some returns and make the decision. But for now, I've got it like that. And currently, Greenwood is my captain. I don't know if that'll change. Might go to Wilson, might go to Ings, Brentwood. I don't know. Yeah, I'm a bit stuck on the captaincy for now.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Also, just an extra tidbit, I might even captain same as your Trent there, but with Regulon, just because I like how not conceding goals. Those clean sheet double is already 12 points.
You know, I just want to say that you guys taught me how to play FPL, and one of the first things you taught me was never captain a defender. And look what you guys are doing right now.
That's how you make the cheeky points. If you know he's going to score and going to get that clean sheet, then
the thing is, Trent didn't exist back then. You got to remember there was no defenders that were
Trent
basically
only
winners.
Coming into it then. Trent set the curve for captaining defenders, to be honest.
True.
I still don't advise it. Don't do it unless you get a sign in your dreams that you know you can follow, because it's super risky.
Get the sign 5 minutes before you set your...
I did. I saw Salah and Fernandes blanking, and I was like, okay, who else? Greenwood or Trent? And I could have gone with Greenwood because he also returned. So yeah, all right. Going on to Kyle's team.
Yeah, I did relatively well. I came back from my previous performance. I scored a lovely 83 points. I was in the top 250,000 worldwide in this game week, which is pretty good. Pretty much everyone in my team returned except for Tony for Brentford. So I was pretty stoked with that.
Nice captaincy choice as well.
Plan, just like you said, Jack Grealish got a knee touch goal. It was quite awkward and weird. But he was trying in the game. True. He was trying in the game to come into that left side of the box. He was trying to get the assists away. He was trying to do stuff. It just wasn't really working out. He looked a little bit sluggish at some points in the game. But he was lucky enough to get the goal, and I profited from it points-wise because I did captain him. I refrained from captaining Mo Salah because of the stat I found where he didn't perform very well against Burnley in the past.
Nice.
And I was quite lucky that he didn't get that offside goal. I was quite lucky.
Yeah. That offside goal was marginal, but that's how that works. So your stat was perfect, to be honest. You had a crack over stat there.
Yeah, well done. You also scared me off him, so maybe I should thank you for my captaincy option.
Possibly. You should thank the stats. Thank the stats for that.
The stat.
Yeah, guys, I'm happy thus far. I'm not going to make any transfers for my team this week, moving on to this week's team. I'm going to roll the transfer unless I find out some news that some of the international players aren't going to be playing it for their club. Then I will definitely transfer them out. But for now, I'm going to roll a transfer, and for game week 4, I'm going to bring either Antonio or DCL in and use my 2 transfers to do that, so I don't take any point hits.
So who are you planning on taking out for that?
So I have a few ideas, just like Brandon's idea of taking Trent Alexander-Arnold out to someone cheaper to bring Antonio or DCL in. Or I don't want to do this, but dropping Rafinha to someone cheap in the midfield to bring DCL or Antonio in. I think one of those two are a must-have up front alongside Lukaku. And usually my play style is to have a very strong midfield and quite a weak striking pair. But unfortunately, I don't think this season it's going to work out like that. I think I'm going to have quite a few strong players up front.
Yeah, I played with
Lukaku and
last season, and I waited on Aguero. That was a bit of a mistake. Not that that's going to happen again. But yeah, just be careful with that, because obviously you've got a different template to what me and Brandon have. In a way, we've got stronger midfield. You've got stronger sort of. You'll just kind of disperse.
You're ahead of the curve right now because obviously you brought in Lukaku last week. He returned for you.
I brought Lukaku in, yeah.
Yeah, I think you should be very happy with that. You did something very similar to...
You're unlucky with Kane, but lucky in the fact that Lukaku came in. So
yeah, you might get some very cheeky returns that nobody else has the ability to have right now. Because of course you are a Bruno, so that's where you...
I am a Bruno, correct.
Yeah.
So that hit you hard with these hat tricks. So see how that goes.
Well, I split Bruno into 2. I went for Jack Grealish and Mason Greenwood instead of just one Bruno. So I'm happy with my decision to not have Bruno in my team. But of course, if he basically touches the ball, I lose points. So that's also a downside.
All right.
Good. It looks good.
Yeah, it's looking good. You, I must say, came back from 3 millionth last week to 1.7
Something along those lines.
That was Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a big jump. It just shows you how close everybody is in the beginning of the season. I mean, I'm like only 20 points ahead of you guys, and I'm the million, ranks ahead. So don't be like fooled by the ranks right now. Give it a couple weeks before you decide how aggressive you're going to be, and just be patient with those teams.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'm playing very patiently. Only the defender moves. I mean, same with you. You're also hesitant right now. Kyle also seems like he's got a plan, but hasn't really jumped at it yet. It's a bit too early to tell. It's only two games down. This is the third one coming up. I think after this game week, we should have a more definitive idea, especially in the reasonable relishes of who we should be going for. We already have ideas personally who we would want to go for, but I think after this game week, we should have a better idea.
Agreed.
Yes.
All right. Well, it is goodbye from me. Good luck to all you guys with the next week, and we'll be back same time next week.
Sounds good. Goodbye, guys.
Cool.